there on Facebook. And today we have a very special guest with us today. None other than the Doctor of Destruction is going to be here with us. Dr. Joe Briggs is going to be here. So without further ado, let's get right into it, guys. Dr. Joe Briggs, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing fine. Thank you for paying me to be here.
You're very welcome to be here, sir. They've seen you on my Facebook reels, also at the NWA JCP events, and also as the world heavyweight champion of SPCW, Southern Pride Championship Wrestling. Dr. Joe Briggs, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be here with Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver as our honored guest. My fans have some questions for you, and so do I. Are you ready for them?
That's what you paid me to do. Let's get it started.
All right, first off, let's talk about your personal journey into wrestling. What made you want to be a wrestler? Who trained you? And how was the transition from being a full-time physician to professional wrestler gone for you?
The way that I got into wrestling was I watched Hulk Hogan on TV. I was 6 years old, I believe it was. They had the first episode of WCW Monday Nitro, and my mom was flipping through the channels, and I told her to stop. And I'll never forget it because Hogan was in the ring and he was making his comeback against Big Bubba Rogers, and he did the three punches in the boot and dropped the leg. And the celebration after the match, just the whole Mall of America scene. Uh, there was something about it, and from that day, I was hooked. I was a big Hogan guy. I was Hulkamaniac through and through. I went back and I drove my mom and dad crazy, renting videos and going to the store, video store back when they had VHSs, of course. And I would just rent and rent and rent and rent, sometimes renting 2 or 3 times. And it was all Hogan. If I seen Hogan on it, that's what I wanted to watch. So I grew up loving it, grew up watching it religiously, mostly World Championship Wrestling. And then, of course, when Austin and Rock and all those guys got popular, I was more into WWF. But it was always Hogan and Macho Man and Sting and Ric Flair and all those guys that kind of got me into it. So ever since I was exposed to those guys, that was why I wanted to get into wrestling. I was trained in 2011 by the Iron Cross. He was also known as Mike Sampson. He was in a tag team called the $1 Billion Babies, and he did a lot of enhancement work with WWF, WCW. The list goes on and on. He was in Memphis. He wrestled the Steiner Brothers, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, the Rockers. When he was part of the Rockers. He wrestled a lot of guys. The WCW wrestled the Steiner Brothers and stuff like that. And Buddy Landale and people along the way also had sort of a hand in it, but it was mostly him. And when I first started, I was not a natural at this whatsoever. I was an amateur wrestler in high school, and that was it. I was not a conquering athlete or anything like that. But he took the time because at the time I was over like 300 pounds. I was 305 pounds. I was pasty white, no look, had no self confidence, and I even told him that I didn't want to wrestle. I didn't want to be put in the ring in front of people. And a lot of people wouldn't have taken a chance on me, but he trained me anyway. And he put me in the ring. I was not a natural. Couldn't bump. Got my legs caught underneath me. Barely turn a flip. Uh, could barely do any of those things. But as time went along, he trained me, and I kept getting better. And he decided to put me in the ring. Well, when he decided to do that, I quit and left, and because I did not want to do it. But he kept after me and kept after me, and I came back, and I still didn't want to do it in front of people. But then one time there was an event close to my home, and I saw pictures that somebody had posted online, and I missed it. And I said I would never miss another one. I don't know what it was, and I just never missed another one. Started wrestling everywhere I could go. Kept getting better, but if it wasn't for him, and that's the reason I'm going into this long-winded answer here, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting here. And to answer your third question, uh, I never was an actual physician. I was given the term doctor of destruction, doctor, whatever you want to call me, by my trainer, the Iron Cross. And the reason that I was given that was because I don't have a PhD or a doctorate or a master's degree in anything. But what I do have it is in the ring, because I can pick you apart limb from limb. I can see your weaknesses before you do. I can attack you at those weaknesses better than anybody in the professional wrestling business. And I've proven that. And that's why this championship is on my shoulder. So when I come after you, I already know what I can do to you. And if I don't, I'm going to find out. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop me. So that's why they call me the Doctor of Destruction. That's where the doctor term comes from. Because I attack my opponents, dissect them limb from limb, but I also destroy them from the inside out. So that's how I became a doctor.
Let's talk about your SPCW heavyweight title win against Mike Kilgannon. We were there to witness it, but what a competitor and brutal match that was for you. Do you see Kilgannon crying to the powers that be to give him one more shot?
Well, I don't see him crying for one more shot, but he is going to be crying because you missed this. You wasn't there this past weekend at Southern Pride Championship Wrestling, but the Stu Crew and I made sure that that wasn't going to happen,
Mm.
because not only did we leave him lay a couple of weeks ago, we left him, JDL, Tyler Shoop, and everybody laying in the center of the ring, but we put the little cherry on top. We put the chair on the leg. We crushed his leg.
Mm.
And now he may be crying for his wife to bring him something to drink or bring him something to eat or bring him his pain medication, because he is no longer going to be an issue. There's going to be no more Mike Kilgannon.
Well,
See,
I'm
that's the
glad you
thing.
mentioned something here. You mentioned the relationship that you have with the Stu Crew, and what a strange relationship that is with with Dylan and Zach. How did you decide to align yourself with them, and what little of a status and or protection does it give you to be with them and to have their backs and you have theirs?
It's pretty simple. Dylan and Zach and I have been fighting for years against each other. And it finally occurred to me that no matter how hard I tried, those two are going to be guys that I probably wasn't going to be able to find the weakness in. Yes, I could find little nuggets of things here and there. I could attack their bond with their family and themselves and everything else, but I couldn't find a distinct weakness. But there was one thing that I did notice, and that is Dylan and Zach are highly underappreciated, highly underestimated. Because you see Zach, you see Dylan. You see Dylan, you see Zach. They are one with each other. There was no way that I was going to be able to beat that, and I admired that. So I decided that it was time to start showing these boys exactly what everybody else couldn't see. And that was the fact they have potential further than anybody has ever had in the professional wrestling business. But nobody took them seriously apart. I did. I saw Dylan as one of the greatest wrestlers ever in the Southeast. But nobody would have seen that because he was standing in his brother's shadow.
Mm.
Zach was one of the best big men in the Southeast, but nobody would have ever seen that because he was standing beside Dylan and they were a team. And yes, they still are a team, but they are also individuals. Dylan finally started listening to me. Dylan finally wised up and understood that nobody in this business cares about him. They don't care about your family. They don't care about how much money you've got in your pocket. The only thing they care about is how far they can stick the knife in your back and how far they can line their pockets. And yes, it took Zach just a little bit longer to get on board, but that's because Zach has a family, a wife, and a child. But that was more of a motivation for him to finally wise up, because those two depend on him. They depend on wrestling. They depend on Zach's health. The only two that cared about that was Zach and Dylan, and now me. They joined me for a reason. And we are not two guys or three guys that are separate. We are equals as individuals. We are the wrecking crew of Southern Pride Championship Wrestling. I'm not the leader. They're not the leader. But we all have our own attributes. And with these two, nobody's going to stop us.
Well, with that being said, my fans have really been begging me to ask you this next question. Since you've started your heavyweight champion, since you won it, your heavyweight title run a few weeks ago at SPCW, do you see anyone that can measure up to the challenge or give you a run for your money?
Oh, Joey. Yeah, there's plenty of guys that's probably going to step up and think they can measure up. I mean, just this past weekend, a kid fresh out of Jacobs Pritchard Wrestling Academy stepped into the ring with me and surprised me just a little bit, put me on my heels. So, yeah, there may be a couple of guys that's going to try to measure up. But let me make one thing perfectly clear. I've been doing this for 14 years. This right here, this title means more to me than any title that I've ever won. Southern Pride Championship Wrestling and what it means to me means more than anybody could ever imagine. So, yeah, there might be somebody step up. There might be challengers who try, but there's not a single one of them that has a chip on their shoulder as big as mine. Me winning this championship didn't stop me from having a chip on my shoulder. Not in the slightest. This championship made it bigger. Because now I've proven that I'm the Southern Pride heavyweight champion, that I'm the best in Southern Pride Championship Wrestling. But you've got other people barking, saying that they are. What do you think, Joseph?
I think there's always somebody who's hungry enough to be that dog in the fight with you. Now, if you are hungrier than they are, you'll always win because the hungriest dog is always going to win when there's a dog fight going on. But with that being said, we have to talk about where you're at currently on top. You put yourself on top. You were the hungriest dog in SPCW, and you made yourself that hungriest dog, and you've never stopped. You never stopped looking back. Even looking at your Facebook page, going through and following you through there, you're always striving for better. You're always training. You're always running. You're always making yourself be the best that you can be and challenging yourself in ways that nobody ever could. With that being said, do you have any special words for anyone who thinks that they can challenge you for that SBCW heavyweight championship?
That's exactly what you just said. It's exactly what you just said. You know, there are guys out there that train harder, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to talk to him pretty soon. Tyler Shute.
Yeah, I will.
Those guys out there that I've laid down, like Octavius Black, Andy Optimal, Elliot Russell. There's Matt Siegman. There's all kinds of guys out there who probably think that they can challenge me. But let me make something perfectly clear to all these guys who somehow put a target on my back. Did you think that I didn't expect that? Did you think that I didn't expect you to come after me? Why do you think Zach and Dylan's here? Because Zach and Dylan understand that too. Zach and Dylan also have a target on their back just because they're now aligned with me, that they're my friends, that we have each other's backs.
Dr. Joe,
of anybody.
Casey Kazana has come in and he says, I just want to know when you're going to give me a shot. And then right under that, he said, SPCW Junior Heavyweight Championship versus the SPCW Heavyweight Championship. Do you have any thoughts on that, sir?
Oh, I've got plenty. I've been waiting on you, KC. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I've been waiting on you. You see, you're a second generation wrestler, right? Perhaps third generation. I don't know, and I don't really care. Because that right there is what bothers me. Mr. NWA, Mr. Country Gentleman, Mr. Big Shot, Mr. I've been in the business 2 years, but I get all the opportunities. You know how long it took me to win this? I won this one time and got injured and had to relinquish it. It took me 2 years just to get a shot. You've been in the business 2 years, kid. And you're going to step up and you're going to act like you can stand in the same ring with me? You can't. And I'm going to tell you to look right here because you can't do it. I don't care what championship that you have. People like you are the very reason that I am Southern Pride, that I am the SPCW heavyweight champion, and I have been fighting back from injuries and everything for the longest time because I didn't have the connections, I didn't have the daddy, and I didn't have the brother. But I had this. I had this too. So if you want a shot, KC, Golden Boy, wait, that's Evan Golden, right?
That's right, the Golden Child.
Another second generation star who hasn't let anything go to his head. But you, I can't wait for that. So anytime you want this, KC, you can come after it. Because I've been waiting. I've been waiting for the Kazanas. I've been waiting for anybody in the NWA.
Casey Kazana just came back and said, if you're scared, just say so.
What's there to be scared of? A name? Kazana? There's plenty of places we can do this. But if you want to come to my turf, on my time, which is Southern Pride time, a place that you don't come to very often because you're too busy doing other things, Mr. Junior Heavyweight Champion. Show up at Southern Pride. Be there. And I'll put this on the line against you. I have nothing to be scared of. Why? Because you know it, and I know it. You're not going to work harder than me. You're not going to be able to beat me. You're not going to be able to outsmart me. And you are not, by any stretch, a better wrestler than I am.
He came back and said August 3rd is the next SPCW date, and he is available that day. So I believe he's trying to issue a challenge right now for August 3rd. Will you accept that challenge, Dr. Joe Briggs?
Well, that's insinuating that you don't have anything else better to do, KC. If somebody else don't come knocking on the door and tell you that you have to be there. I'm game for anybody. So yeah, I'll accept your challenge. But even though I own Southern Pride Championship Wrestling because of this belt on my shoulder, even though that Zach Stewart and Dylan Stewart own their division, I own mine, we still have to get somebody to make that official. And I beg that they do. I'm waiting on you, KC. What else do you have other than words and a keyboard?
Strong words, very strong words. Dr. Joe Briggs, we have to move on, though. Let's talk about your bookings real quick. Where can the fans expect to see you in action? What time zone? How much does it cost to get in? And where's it going to be at?
You're going to see me this Saturday in Dublin, Virginia at the fair. And I can't even remember what it is now. You want to know why? I don't care, because they're paying me to be there. Bell time 7 p.m. with paid admission to the fair. You can watch the wrestling. Then I will be back in La Follette again and again and again. Every single time an event is held, that's what champions do. Unlike somebody like KC Kazana.
Ooh. Very true. Very
true.
You've got
to be there to be a champion, son, kid, boy. And you're not.
Dr. Joe, if anyone is interested in booking you for an event or a show, how can they go about it?
They can DM me on Facebook. They can send an email to drdestructionjoebriggs@gmail.com. Or they can also pick up the phone and call me, but you're not getting my number unless you DM me. See, I do things the old-fashioned way. I don't have agents. I don't have anything like that. I come when I'm paid because that's what I am. Not only am I a doctor, I'll come assassinate anybody in your dressing room, pick them limb for limb. Because that's what I do. That's what I've done for 14 years, and it's not about to stop now. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life. And I'm smarter than I ever have been, too. So DM me, come at me. You can get at me on Instagram, too, DOD Joe Briggs. And let's do business.
I want to thank you for taking your time out to be with me today, Dr. Joe Briggs. I would love to have you back in the future if your schedule permits. And remember, guys and ladies, if you want to see the best professional wrestling has to offer, go and see Dirty Dr. Joe Briggs. And remember, you guys heard it here first. Are there any last words that you would like to say, Dr. Joe, to anybody watching?
Oh, there's one other thing I would like to say. Southern Pride Championship Wrestling is the class of the Southeast. Period. We've had guys talk about NWA-JCP, which I will be there as well, by the way, in Coalfield, Tennessee on August 2nd. Bell time 7 p.m. I will be there wrestling Johnny Poke, of all people. But Southern Pride Championship Wrestling is the class. Make no mistake, I am the class. Tennessee, Georgia, it doesn't matter. I don't care where I go. I am the class, and Southern Pride is the class. Dylan Stewart and Zach Stewart is the class. Rebecca Lynn is the class of this business. The best manager in the world. And nobody gives her her proper due. Well, that's about to change. Because this, we talk about open challenges, Joe. You gave me the platform, so now you're going to listen. KC wants to jump up. I issue the challenge to anybody. It doesn't matter what promotion. Come in, Southern Pride Championship Wrestling on my turf, and try to take me out. Because you're not going to be able to do it. I am the Doctor of Destruction, Joe Briggs. And wherever I go, or if you come to my turf, it's simple. The doctor is in, and I ain't going anywhere.
Dane Bird says, I will take that challenge, Insane Dane himself, on my turf at SPCW.
At least you're there, Dane. How about that, KC? Dane, anytime you want. You're a rising star, right? You're the man that everybody likes to cheer for. Me and you have similar paths. You've come down from being a heavy guy. You've worked hard. But that's where it stops. That's where the similarities between me and you end. I have this championship on my shoulder. You have a desire to be the champion. I am the best professional wrestler around here in the Southeast, in Southern Pride, in Tennessee, in North Carolina, in West Virginia, in Georgia, in Massachusetts, in Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter where, and you are not. So yes, come knock at my door, Dane, Insane Dane, because you'd be crazy to do that. I'm waiting on everybody, I'm telling you. This chip on my shoulder is not going anywhere. And it makes me happy to know that all these people all of a sudden want to shop, because now they're acknowledging something that they didn't want to acknowledge for a long time.
You're the best.
I'm the best.
You're the best.
The best. Say it again.
You're the best. That's absolutely right. You're the best. And that's what they're missing. And you hit on something. You said they have the desire, but desire will only get you halfway there. You have to put action behind desire to get there.
And see, that's the problem. A lot of these guys today, and I want every one of you to listen to me. A lot of these guys today like to do this, right? They like to talk about how great they are. And I've said it already. They like to talk, but they can't do it as good as me. They like to try to get in there and walk, hit the ropes, roll around on the mat, be the man. But they can't do it nearly as good as me. And for this long, and pay attention, for this long, nobody acknowledged I was the guy that done that just about better than anybody. But now they don't have a choice, do they, Joseph?
Not at all.
They sure don't. Now they have to acknowledge it.
But you know, nobody ever saw those times where you put the ring up or put the ring down, whenever you put the mat on it, whenever you put the mats on the ground. They never saw the hard work you did that was behind the scenes going into this to make you where you are today. But you know what the people of SPCW did? They saw all that hard work and they gave you a chance and you've ran with it. You've grabbed it and you've grabbed it by the horns and you've ran with it. That's all you needed because the desire was already there, but you had the actions going behind a desire to put you over the top and to keep you there. You know, some people say that it's ability that gets you to the top and it's integrity that keeps you there, but it's ability that keeps you there as well. You have to have the ability to stay on top, and that's exactly what you've got, Dr. Joe Briggs.
And you're also missing one thing. It's the ability to take no and turn it into a yes. You don't
That's right.
No for an answer. You don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough. You want to know how many times I've been told over the years bypassed for somebody because I wasn't good enough. I didn't look good enough. I wasn't a wrestler. I didn't look the part. I didn't talk good enough. I needed to clean everything up. I needed to change everything. Well, the man you see sitting here right now, deep down is the same man that started. It's like this, and it will never change for me. Professional wrestling is one of the main reasons I'm still sitting here. So I wasn't going to let anybody tell me that I couldn't do this. This championship on my shoulder isn't just a prop. It isn't just for some homegrown promotion that even their management will tell you that it is. This is a solidification and a validation for everything that I've been able to do. I've had to work hard for everything. Iron Cross put me on a nice little path. He helped me along the way. He still does. But there was a lot of people who said, no, you're not good enough. I'm going to put my son in the ring just because he's got the last name.
Still happening today. There's still people doing it today.
Or I'm going to put my buddy in the ring and put him in the main event because he paid for this event. And none of them could lace my boots. And now I'm saying it loud and proud. None of you can lace my boots. And no, I'm not talking about doing a flip here and a flip there and making your girlfriend cheer for you and getting your little text messages and thanking each other for the match online. I'm talking about what professional wrestling really is. It's about winning championships. It's about making money. It's about putting butts in seats. It's about having it here. And it's about winning at all cost. You don't take no for an answer. And I never will. And that's why I hold this. So any of you that think you can do any of that better than me, right here it is. Because I'm better now than I ever have been, and I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. And I dare you. I dare you.
Well, thank you for your time today, Dr. Joe Briggs. I'm currently out of time. I'd love to have you come back if and when your schedule permits. Please be available for us. We'd love to have you back on Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver.
Money talks, pal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Money talks.
Thank you very much.
You too.
That's going to be our show today, guys. Thank you for joining us with Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver. And before we go, I want to show you the live pro wrestling events that he's talking about that's coming up directly. The Memorial Park Fest that's over here, the All-Star. Dr. Joe Briggs is going to be a part of it. And then also, see him at SPCW holding that heavyweight championship up, loud, proud, and full of it. He's doing a great job for each and every one of us, each and every time that he's available. And every time we get a chance to see him, you guys need to go and check him out each and every Saturday, 157 Myers Lane in La Follette, Tennessee at SPCW. It's going to be the best way to catch him. Also, he said that he was going to be a part of NWA JCP coming up in Coalfield, Tennessee. That's going to be on August the 2nd at Coalfield School in Coalfield, Tennessee. You don't want to miss it. Get your tickets early. Get them now and get them and be ready to see Dirty Dr. Joe Briggs himself, the Doctor of Destruction. Come on out and be a part of it with us as we're here. And then the last thing I want to tell you guys before we go is, in order for us to keep this show going, we have a merchandise store. You can purchase any Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver merch that we have available, as you see on your screen right now. Now, I have the red hoodie personally. I love it, but I have it in several different colors, as you can see. I've got baseball shirts. I've got other hoodies. I've got rain jackets. I've got water bottles. I've got everything available. If you guys love what you see and you want to keep this going, that's the way you do it. Help support this channel. Help buy our merchandise. And you can do that at www.streamlabs.com/Arabbidb3aver, just as it's spelled up there, /merch. That's how you get everything. Thank you guys so much for your time today, and I hope to see you guys in the future right here on Wrestle Talk with Arabbidb3aver. Bye-bye, guys.